Today we have our logo author, Cheryl Stephani.
Thank you, Maichi.
We talk a little bit your background. You're a full-time teacher, right?
Yes, I am a full-time teacher. I've been teaching for almost 25 years, I think now. I lost track after 20.
Right. Why you write a kids book? You decide?
I decided to write a children's book because I've always liked writing short stories. And when my own children were very little, I wrote a bunch of short stories, and they are sitting in my basement in a box. When I had grandchildren, and my grandchildren kept asking me, "Grandma, tell me a story. Grandma, tell me a story." And I would tell them stories about my cat or the animals in my backyard.
So you make a story?
No, I would tell them real things that happened with my cat, or we had a family of foxes in our backyard, or the deer in our backyard, or whatever the animals were. I would tell them fun things that have happened with the animals in the backyard or with my cat. So I finally decided that I would write down some of these stories and get them ready for my grandchildren, and it kind of exploded from there, that it ended up turning into a real book.
The inspiration come from?
So the inspiration for writing this book was definitely my grandchildren, my granddaughters, wanting to. I wanted to leave something for my grandchildren, kind of like my legacy, I guess. I don't know, but that was my inspiration for moving forward with a published book. Was definitely my grandchildren. I was also inspired by all the students that I've worked with over the years who have struggled learning how to read. And as I have helped them learn how to read, I wanted to make sure that I could provide a story for them that would help them become better readers as well. So I was also inspired by my students.
Let's talk about this book, Big Cat and the Little Fox. Who in this book?
The characters in this book are my Maine Coon cat. She's my real Maine Coon. She made it to be 19 years old. She was still alive when I did publish this book. And she was she was a big cat. So her nickname was Big Cat. She had many names she was such a fun cat to work with that she had lots of nicknames. One of them was Monkey, and she's always been, Big Cat, Fast Cat, whatever it is. But Big Cat was what we mostly called her because she was a big cat. She could stand up tall and knock things off, the chicken off the counter. She didn't have to climb up. She could open up doorknobs. She would sit on top of mantles or the tops of doors. So she was a funny cat to watch. So that's what the main character is, Big Cat. And then Little Fox comes from the family of foxes we had living in our backyard. They had dug a den underneath our shed and lived underneath there. So in the spring we could watch the fox kits playing in our backyard. And so every year we still get the foxes, even though they're no longer living underneath our shed, we still get them playing in our yard every single year. So we've been watching these foxes grow up.
So the fox play with the cat
in real life? In real life,
they know each other.
Yeah, the fox would come into our yard. There's woods behind our house in Brooklyn Park here, and the foxes would be in our yard. And if my cat went out on our deck, the fox would kind of freeze and kind of maybe dance around or dart around the cat. And
the fox dance.
Okay. And would kind of dash and dart and yelp a little bit, and my cat would do a big stare down.
Look like wow.
And the fox would then scurry off. So the way the fox kind of danced and darted around also inspired the way I got my message through, is through a dancing and music theme to this. So the fox is actually a dancer in the book, right here. That the fox is actually dancing. So I created the whole book to have a music and dance theme to it. So the cat is also dancing, and all the other animals in the book that are also in our backyard all end up to be dancers. So I have all the other wild animals in our
Look
backyard.
like a big party.
It's looking like a big dancing party. So we're having a great big dancing party right there in our backyard with the possum and chipmunk and deer and all the other fun animals, wild turkeys in our backyard. The purpose of writing?
Purpose of this book.
So the purpose, my main purpose was I wanted there to be a message in the book for students, for children, because as a teacher, I see so many books that children come to school with, or that they're picking out at the library, or coming from home, or even picking up at school, that have no real message to them, that they're not learning. They might be able to learn to read, but they're not learning any life lessons in it. It's more for fun or for entertainment. And this is still fun and entertaining, but I wanted there to be a purpose or a message in there for children. And so the main message of the book is that you have to be, if you want to be at your best, you have to be yourself. You can't pretend to be something that you're not. If you want to be your best, you need to be yourself, which I think is a really important message for everybody
today, because everybody wants to be everybody else.
Everybody wants to be everybody else right now, and they can't. They have to be who they are created to be. If you are a cat, you can't be a fox. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give away all the details in the story, but yes, you can't. The wild turkey has to be like the wild turkey. The deer has to be like the deer. The cat has to be like the cat.
What age is it for?
For the ages, again, as working in an elementary school, I wanted to make sure that children of all ages could read and enjoy this book. So I wrote it I was really thinking of the kindergarten through 5th or 6th grade student. I know that 3- and 4-year-olds are also enjoying the book. And I also know that some older kids, some 6th graders, are still enjoying the book as well. And it seems to cross any generation. It seems to be crossing any other levels of interest that students might have in books. So when I'm reading in schools or reading the libraries, I can mostly gain the attention of just about every child in that room or in that group, that they're all, whatever other interests they might have, just about everybody loves animals. So having animals in here, it really gains the attention of the students. And the vocabulary that I'm choosing is helping kids to learn different animal movement words, like a turkey strutting. And then it's also helping to teach words that animals say. The fox yelps. In real life, like a fox has many different sounds, not just yelping, but they can bark, and they can screech and scream and yelp, but yelp is kind of their main. Yes, be confident in who you are. Don't worry about what other people are thinking about you. That the cat, big cat, is worried about impressing everybody with her best. She thinks she's the best as a cat. I mean, anyone who knows a cat knows that they are very proud animals, and so she's very vain. She has a lot of vanity. So she learns that her vanity, being vain, thinking that she's the best, isn't going to get her far. She has to accept who she is and what she does versus I'm the best and you should think I'm the best. So she doesn't worry about that at the end. That she knows that if she's herself, that's when she's at her best. Yeah, she doesn't have to impress anyone.
Yes. Do you think a kid's book can change the world?
Ooh, good question. Can a kid's book change the world? Well, my question back to anyone watching this would be, which children's book as a grown-up do you still remember?
Yeah.
Because I love certain books. I love, Dr. Seuss. I love Green Eggs and Ham and Cat in the Hat. So I'm still, even though it's been, I'm sure, 50 years since I was a child and read those, that they still stick with me. And other books I read throughout my childhood, like Charlotte's Web and Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, some of my favorite books still stick with me. And I think it was because they weren't just entertaining, but they had a strong message in there too that I was able to carry with me. The Little House on the Prairie books, other kinds of books that you remember as a child as being your favorites that you go back and reread and reread.
And how many ways you can publish?
Sure. So when I decided to publish, there are 3 different ways that you can publish a book. One of the ways is a traditional way, and that would be where I would take my manuscript and I would send it in to the big publishing companies, and wait for them to say yes or no. They're mostly going to say no. That's what they do.
Yeah, I know. After like 10 times they said no, it's okay.
Yes.
I forgot about this.
And it could be many, many years before a publishing company says yes. And then when a publishing company does say yes, they will purchase the book from you, the manuscript from you, and then I no longer have a say in what happens to my book. So it could sit with the publisher, and maybe they don't do anything with it. Or maybe years down the road, they might decide they want to publish it. But if it's sitting at a publishing house and they've purchased it, that means I can't do anything with it either.
That just scares a lot of people away, because how many no we can take, right? After a while.
Right.
And also,
Right.
So traditional way, probably not too many people choice
Not,
today.
it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
Very challenging to do,
So
very hard
you're
to
not
do.
Choose,
Yes, I'm not J.K. Rowling. I am not Stephen King.
Yeah.
You need to be exceptional at that. Or there's also, you have to have an agent. So you have to, before you submit to the publishing companies, you need to submit to agents. And an agent would need to say, yes, I accept you as my client. I will represent your book. And then they'll help you with those publishing companies. But you could search for a long time finding an agent to accept you as well. So it's a many, many years worth of a process. And again, most books will not get published that way. There are thousands and thousands of books published every year. But if you think about all the ones people submitting, it's just like writing a movie. Most movies aren't going to get made.
Right. You're spending a lot of money, probably nothing back either.
Right.
So you know, probably not choose this way. And second way?
I did not. Yes. So another way is self-published, and I looked into self-publishing. Now I did my research on this about 5 years ago, 6 years, 5 to 6 years ago, on ways to publish. And self-publishing was what I was intending to do, where I would do get all the work ready to go and submit it through maybe an online service or something like that, and then the online service it's a paid service. I would need to pay a company to take my words and lay it out on a book and print it up for me. The cost was fairly expensive, depending on what you're wanting to do with that. But it wasn't the right way for me. I felt like as a children's book, it needed a lot of illustrations to go with it. And I would need to have found some talent for that. I would need to make sure that the editing was perfect, the layout is perfect. No one at the self-publishing, there was no one on the other side of that computer to do that for me. So however I submitted the button, it'd be how it would come back out. So when I looked at the cost of that, and then the cost of what's called independently publishing, I decided for the extra version, I guess, and go with independently published. And that means that I went to a publishing house and paid for their services. So I use Beaver's Pond Press. They are located in St. Paul, and it's a full-service publishing company. So anyone is able to write their book and go to a publishing company like Beaver's Pond.
They can help you.
And they can help you with that, and you can decide to what level you're going to pay for their services. Because of it being a children's book, I needed an illustrator, so they were able to offer a portfolio of illustrators that I could look through and decide which illustrator. I picked out 2 or 3 illustrators, and my first choice read the story and agreed to do the illustrations for me. They also helped me with my editing, it was a full service. So for me, I decided to go the independent route. The interesting thing about that is I was told by my publisher that if you're going to choose this way, you have to be realistic. It's not about me being an author and, hey, I've got my book published, yippee, I'm all done. that she was really good at explaining to me that this is a business. I need to invest in it. So if I am choosing to go this route, that I need to be made aware that it's going to, just like starting up any business, whether I'm starting a shop or whatever it is, that I have to take my own money and invest into it. I had to create my own business name, which is Big Cat Publishing. It's an LLC.
Website,
bigcatbooks.com is the website. Big Cat Publishing is the name of my actual LLC, a company. So I'm registered at the state of Minnesota as an official business. So it means I have to file taxes under that name and report all that fun stuff to the IRS and Department of Revenue in Minnesota, and keep track of all my business expenses and all my sales and sales tax and everything, because it's an official business. So I think that my publishing company helped me decide if this is what I want to do or not. She told me to expect that, number one, authors don't make money. So people think that authors are rich. Only a few authors are rich. Again, J.K. Rowling's maybe, but most authors are not rich. And it takes a long time to make money back on your book. She said if you're serious, you can expect to wait about 8 to 10 years to get your money back and break even. So she said you need to take that into account. If you want to do that, just be aware this is your money. Do you want to invest in that? Do you want that to be part of your business plan for your future? So my husband and I discussed it, and we're at the time in our life where we're able to do that. The children are grown, my adult children, so I'm more secure in my full-time job as a teacher. So for me, it felt like the right time to do a business investment like that. I never thought ever in my whole life I would own a small business. I was never planned on being a small business owner, and now I'm a small business owner.
You're spending a lot of money for this, for that, and all the list. But you look back and what next time I probably do different way.
Right.
Something I can do.
Yeah, I think everyone will have a different opinion.
Yes.
Because everyone has a different story, a different book, different needs. For me, the illustrator was the number one cost that I am extremely grateful for, that I put the money into my illustrator. She did a phenomenal job. She's an excellent illustrator. She has many children's books. She has many awards. I'm very grateful that she agreed to do my book. I love my illustrations. I couldn't be happier with them. So for me, the illustrator was the number one person that made this book come alive. She took my words and made it come alive for me and for anyone reading it. So for me, that was worth the cost of whatever money I paid my illustrator, was definitely worth the cost. The other cost that I really have appreciated is my editor. Even though I am a teacher and can teach reading and writing, there's a lot of editing that goes on behind the scenes.
This is
on
one
book.
team, right? You're
Yes.
editing and
It's one team.
One team, yes.
Yes, the independent publisher at Beavers Pond had a full team of people working.
And
with
also
me.
printer also.
They sent it off to a print shop, yes, but they also had a designer.
Designer we probably need the designer, right?
Yeah, so the designer was the
Important.
person who took all the illustrations and all the text and
turned
put
really
them
great.
together, rearranged them,
Yes.
designed the cover.
Where you put the word, how big.
Yes, exactly. Changed the font sizes and colors and did all the colorations of the book and everything.
But how the marketing, they do marketing also for you?
They do not do marketing. They
okay.
have marketing workshops that I can attend to help me through the marketing.
Yeah.
But the marketing itself is actually on me. And this is the case with any way that you publish. Even big publishing houses are not going to market for you. That
Oh,
every
really? How about the traditional?
traditional, no. So authors need to do their own marketing.
But that's very hard.
Yes, it's very hard. So
Yeah.
that was probably the most challenging thing for me, is the marketing, because I had to start my own website, design my own website. I have to maintain it. the social media accounts I have to maintain, the website, because it's a secure site. I need to pay for the domain name every year. I have to pay for the security for that. So that's a pretty big cost.
Warehouse?
Yeah, I have warehouse fees as well. So I think if there was any place that I could probably chop my costs down, would probably be the printing and warehouse. So I decided you can do print on demand, and I think 4 or 5 years ago when I was looking at it, I'm not sure, it might have been around. I wasn't made too aware of it. So I think that's become more prominent now in the last few years. If it existed 5 years ago, 4 years ago when I was doing this, I was not aware of it. So you can print on demand, which I think a lot of authors are doing now, that whoever's doing their printing will print. If someone orders a book, then they print the book and mail it off. Each book costs a lot more money that way.
Yeah.
For like my book to print, because I purchased 2,000 books out of the starting gate, the cost of each book was much, much smaller. But now I have 2,000 books I have to store.
Yeah, so you are a teacher, you are just a full-time teacher, you have a full-time job, and you never do business before. How you can marketing that? How you
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. My husband helped me a lot. My brother helped me a lot. My brother helped with doing like the photograph headshots, professional photography for myself, for the cover and for the website. He helped me as I was setting that up. But I have to say, about 85% of that website was me. So a lot of time, a lot of mistakes, lots and lots of mistakes, a lot of re-editing the website, learning as I went on how to design a website. I've met lots of authors who have gone electronic, and they seem to like that as well. My brother-in-law is an author, and he recently put his book on, I don't know if it's Kindle or not, but on Audible and electronic and anything. But he has to pay for that too, so he had to pay somebody to read his book for Audible.
Well, some costs we have to spend.
Yeah, and I don't know how much it costs to change a book to an electronic, like a Kindle or a Nook, because I didn't do that. So I don't know how expensive or how cheap that is to do. I do know that authors that I have met that have done that, though, when it goes on Kindle, they more or less have to do really either free or cheap downloads to try and get the amount of downloads to increase their sales. So some authors might do the first 2 months are free download or a 99-cent download. So the author's still not making money off of that because they have to pay for those in the first place. Marketing is so hard.
Marketing for the team probably better than one person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. I started, now that I've been meeting authors at different events, we have started selling together sometimes. So sometimes I'll meet the same authors and we'll do the similar events together.
Do you have your own team? Author team?
No. I should get.
If you are a local author, if you have no team yet, please contact this lady. So it can be team, right?
Team author, right?
Yeah, team author. Let's talk about your school.
Okay, so other marketing strategies that I use, which is really helpful as a children's author, is reading in the schools and reading in libraries. So I really enjoy those events. So I can go into different libraries and be in their community rooms and set up my book. I usually use all of my illustrations I have on a PowerPoint, so I can have that set up and on a screen, and I have lots of props and music. I kind of put on a little bit of a show for the kids that I'm reading, so they can interact with me. They are up and dancing with me. They're helping tell the story with me, and I do that when I go into the schools and into the libraries. So if you have anyone watching that is working in a library or working in schools and they are interested in me visiting, they can go to my website, bigcatbooks.com, and find me there, and I'll be more than happy to help get them set up with some quotes that work for their setting. So
or even the birthday party.
Yeah, I have not done that yet. I need to not work full time so I can concentrate more on those things. So for marketing, it takes a lot of time for marketing. So I just have not had the time to focus on generating that kind of business.
That's why you need to have a teamwork.
Yeah, that's true. Teamwork.
I take one. I take one. I talk to everybody. You are our whole teacher. You have a lot of kids too.
Maybe when I retire someday, then I'll have more time to focus on those things.
Yes.
So.
Okay, when the next book come?
I get asked that all the time because Big Cat Little Fox has such great characters in it that kids are asking me all the time for the next Big Cat adventure.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of ideas in my head about what Big Cat could do next.
Yeah.
I want to get some more messages out, like being yourself and being your best. But at this time, I'm thinking when I retire again that I'll probably bring out the word processor again and start jotting down. Whenever I think of an idea, I do have a notepad that I just jot it down, and then I know that I won't forget it, and I'll tuck that away until my next idea comes up, so that when I am ready to write the sequel, that I have my ideas ready to go.